In this video, we're going to look at how to present what you saw in your experiment in a scientific report. As I said earlier, what you saw consists of a few things: the results table, your results graph, as well as your results explanation. Firstly, the results table. Now, the table is a numerical, meaning with numbers, representation of your results. And there are a few rules to drawing a table. Firstly, the first column needs to contain the independent variable. And all the other columns are the dependent variable, and the different ones you got from the different repetitions of that dependent variable. Each of the columns has a title, and in that title, in brackets, the units is shown at the top of each column. And the last column should be an average of all the dependent variables that you have tested for that particular variable. What I'm going to do now is show you an example of how to draw a table. And the example I'm going to use is dissolving sugar in different temperatures of water. Now, the temperature of the water is the independent variable, so I'll put that in the first column. In the subsequent columns, I'm going to put the dependent variable, which is the time it takes for the sugar to dissolve. And I'm going to repeat this experiment for each temperature 3 times, so there will be 4 columns in total. 3, 1 for each repetition, and 1 for an average. Okay, what you see I've done here is I've given 1 column for each of the trials and an average column. To neaten it up, the title of those 4 columns, I'll highlight the 4 cells and click this button here, Merge and Center. And I'll do the same with the temperature of water. So we've got it all merged and centered. Now we're ready to put in our values. So you can see that the independent variable, the values go up by a constant amount. And this is usually a good indicator that this is the independent variable. So 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So each one goes up by 10. For the dependent variable, once we've done this much of the table, now it's time to actually do our experiment. So once we do our experiment, we'll do 3 trials for each temperature. So 3 trials for 20 degrees, 3 trials for 30 degrees, and we'll fill up those with some values. So now we've done our experiment and we've got our results. What we want to do is find the average for each one of the independent variables. So firstly, we'll find the average of 20 degrees. To do this, we type equals average, open brackets, and then highlight the numbers that we want to average. We then close brackets and press enter, and it calculates an average for us. What we can then do is use the fill option in Excel to drag that calculation down the columns. So if I click, and you can see that the icon changes into a black plus when I hover over that box. If I click that and drag down, it will calculate the average for each one of those values. So now we've got our table. We're going to look now at using a graph to represent your results. So it is a pictorial representation of your results, and there are a few rules that we follow when drawing a graph. Firstly, the independent variable goes on the horizontal axis, while the dependent variable goes on the vertical axis. And we need to label these axes and have the units that we've used for each of these variables in brackets next to the label. You also need to work out a scale that can fit all your results on the amount of graph that you have, and not have awkward numbers. And I'll explain a bit later on what those awkward numbers are. The points on your graph you want to mark with crosses. And then once you've marked all your points with crosses, we don't want to draw a line joining those crosses. Rather, what we do is draw a line of best fit, which is a straight line that goes near as many of the points as we can. What I'll do is I'll make 2 supplementary videos showing how to create that graph. One in Excel and one if you were to handwrite it. The final way that you want to show your results is by using words in an explanation. And all you need to do here is describe the trend that you found and quote a couple of the specific numbers or specific results that you got from your experiment. For example, from my results, my explanation would be it was found that hotter water dissolved the sugar faster. This can be seen in the sugar dissolving in 56 seconds at 20 degrees and in only 24 seconds at 80 degrees. So I've described the trend that hotter water dissolves sugar faster and quoted a couple of numbers that support my trend. In this video, we've looked at how to show in your report what you saw. And the way that we do this is using a results table to show your results numerically, using a graph to show your results pictorially, and using an explanation using words to explain your results.